Hello. Hi. Oh, bless your hearts. No, I'm not Bette Midler. Sit down. Sit down. They said before I came here, they said, would you like us to put your words on a teleprompter? And I said, well, I never write anything down. I never write a speech. I'm 56 years old. I'm a mixed-race trans woman. I've been living with AIDS since 1985. I remember everything. Sharp as a tack. I was sitting, I was trying to figure out, I asked these glorious humans, first of all, thank you for having me. What a fabulous dinner. You look very shiny. Very shiny. It's very different than, I live in LA, in the Hollywood, and we're so full of shit there. And you all are so kind, and I'm very suspicious of you. But I asked, I said, is there a theme? Are you talking about something? And they said, yes, to rise up. And I said, well, that is terrific. I love that. And I was thinking about what that meant. And for me, in order for us to rise, we have to help each other off the ground. And I was trying to figure out how to do that, because it's easy for us to sit around to each other and talk to each other, right? Because we all believe the same thing. We all want the same thing in this room. There's nobody in this room that's going, well, this is dumb. Nobody's doing that. Everybody in this room is on the same page. Or are we? Here's my question. How many, and I just want you to ask yourself this, how many of you reach across the aisle to a community in the LGBTQIA community that you don't know? How many men of color are reaching across to women and helping them with the Me Too movement? How many cisgender females are helping genderqueer, gender fluid, and gender questioning youth? How many transgender friends do you have? Friends, not people you know. How are you actually helping? What are you doing? Because if you're coming to these dinners and you're getting dressed up and you're writing checks, that's great. But that's not going to help us off the ground. I remember sitting with Larry Kramer in his living room when he was talking about trying to get people together because everyone was dying. And when I was diagnosed, there was no hope. My doctor said to me, and this is a quote, I think what you should do, when I was diagnosed with AIDS, he said, I think what you should do is take your credit card and max it out because you probably won't be around to pay the bill. And at that time, he was right. And my wife, who I met when I was 14 years old, we met in high school. I know. She's amazing. And she's actually amazing. She's the finest person I've ever met in my entire life. And she said, because she was standing by my side at the time of my diagnosis, she turned to my doctor and she said, oh, she's going to be around. Well, that's who I married. I know. I married up. But I had someone to reach across, hold my hand, and pick me up. I had someone to help me off the ground. And my wife voted and worked on the campaign to get President Ronald Reagan elected. Oh, that's right. So we have a job to do. And I believe it's twofold. I believe it's internal because I believe in the divine self. And I believe all of us come from stardust, and so we are all made of the same thing, and so anything is possible, and the magic that you dream is actual and tangible. And I also believe it is outward. I believe we have to go outside. And here's what I mean. Pointing fingers and calling people uneducated and stupid is not helping. Looking at someone that you don't know who believes something different than you and putting them down because they happen to believe in a God that doesn't make sense to you, or a book that perhaps you haven't read all of, that they consider sacred, and telling them that their values and morals are useless and hurting the country isn't helping. It's not helping. So, look, here's the challenge. The first thing we can do is figure out how to talk to each other and the younger generation, because they know much more than we do. We don't even know how to work our phones. So you're laughing because it's true. Take a picture, Morty. I don't know how to push the... This younger queer generation has reinvented our language. They and them have a whole new connotation. And I have people in our own community that are friends of mine that refuse to say those words. I will not use those words when it comes to... We're already infighting. And there's people in our own community younger than us that are trying to help us, and we don't want to listen to them because we don't think they know as much. I was a teenager in the 70s, almost 10 years after the Stonewall movement. So we were brand new, and I was walking across the street. I was walking, just walking in, oh, my earring. I was walking. God, I'm turning into Henny Youngman. I was walking, oh Lord, I just got off a plane. I was walking, this was in Chicago, I was walking down the street, and I was in my little, so I began my transition in 1980, when it was not only unheard of, it was also illegal, and I mean truly illegal. You could not do what I was doing, you could get thrown in jail. So I was walking, which I didn't know. I was walking across the street in my little white sundress with my little sunshine shoes on. I thought I looked kind of cute. And I'm walking down the street, and I was walking, I wasn't working, I was walking down the street. And this policeman drove by, stopped, made a U-turn, came back, got out of the car, threw me against the car. This is a true story. Threw me against the car and handcuffed me. And I thought, my God, it's the fashion police. I've done something terrible. And I turned to them and I said, what happened? And he said, you cannot walk around the state of Illinois dressed like that. And I said, I don't understand what you mean. And he said, you must have 2 articles of male clothing on at all times. And I thought, you mean like tube socks? I don't know what that means. So I remember a time when the revolutionary act was to walk out my front door. And I come from an entire group of people, an entire tribe of human beings that showed me the way. I didn't invent that. I just followed because someone was there to hold out their hand and pick me up off the ground. So I had someone paving the way for me. We come from history, you guys. Listen, we go back eons. This isn't something my mother, God rest her soul, my mother, who was completely insane and a fabulous woman, my mother said to me once, I don't understand what happened in the 70s. And I said, what do you mean? And she said, well, that's when all of this gay shit began. And I really think that there's a whole generation of heteronormative human beings that really believe that really think, what was in that cocaine? What was that? Something happened. We've got to remind not only those humans who just don't have enough information. They're not stupid. They're not bad people. They're not undereducated. They are misinformed. Really, it's very simple. I deal with this all the time. I've been a teacher for over 4 decades. I deal with so many students. And my love of these people is I live in the fact that they teach me so much more than I could ever teach them. If I don't remain curious, if I don't remain open to the possibility that I still have more to learn, my life has ceased to be. And we're standing in the middle of a learning institution. We've got to change the way we think about the people who disagree with us the most. Because if we don't, the only thing we're going to do is stand on opposite sides and point to each other. So we've got two jobs. The first job is internal. You've got to figure out what you're not doing for your brother and your sister and the other human beings in the LGBTQIA community. What you are not doing, what you're not involved in. I don't mean writing a check. I don't care about these checks. I want you to do something else. I want you to get on the phone. I want you to get on a march. I want you to get on a platform. I want you to write a speech. I want you to talk to your neighbor. I want you to do something active. Start a movement. Help each other out. And then we've got to go outside. You've got to get out, and we all live in our communities, our little tiny, beautiful, gay, queer bubbles. We love those little bubbles because they are the most fabulous, let's be honest. We do know how to throw a party. However, we've got to step outside of that. And we've got to do it with kindness, compassion, clarity, and righteousness. And righteousness bears the fruit of revolution. Listen, we don't sit and rest on ease. We move forward because we are active, and we are righteous on the side of the divine sense of being. Our ownership of who we are, where we come from, and where we are going is centered in the fact that we are right. So, here's what we do. Here's the plan. Everybody ready? Write this down. Write this down. Give it to somebody. Find your purpose in someone else's life. And give yourself the great gift of learning about them. Look, Donald Trump is nobody's fool. He may be a buffoon, and he may be a lunatic. I mean, that guy makes Roseanne Barr seem sane. He's nuts. But that doesn't stop anyone from attaining power. But I'll tell you something. After 56 years of being on this planet, surviving homelessness, sex work, heroin addiction, opiate addiction, alcoholism, having survived all of that, I can tell you one thing. No one on this planet is taking away my power. I will not allow that. That will not happen. That will not happen. That will not happen. And I'll tell you something else. If you feel powerless, if you feel like you cannot do one more thing, that is your fault, not theirs. That is something you can rectify. Your idea of who you are is centered in who you wish to become. So if you are not doing the next right thing, that is on you, not them. You have got to figure out a way how to hold out your hand to the person who needs it the most and help them off the ground. Otherwise, no one will rise. No one will get ahead. No one will rise above what we know to be true and get to the possible. No one will be able to do that because you're sitting down. You're not standing up. You're not taking a chance. You're not moving outside of what's familiar. You do not believe in what's possible. It is on you, not on them. So look in the mirror, ladies and gentlemen. Look in the mirror. Look in the mirror and remember where you come from, the history of who you were born out of revolution. This isn't something that we decided to do. This is who we are. This is who we are. This is who we are. Look, I'm going to say this one last thing to you. It's my favorite piece of text on the planet. Our greatest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our greatest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that most surrounds us. We ask ourselves, who am I to be gorgeous, fabulous, brilliant, gifted? Actually, who are you not to be? You are a child of God. Your playing small does not serve the world. There is nothing enlightened about shrinking so other people won't feel insecure around you. You were born to make manifest the glory of God that is within you. It is not in some of us. It is in all of us. And as we let our own light shine, we unconsciously give other people permission to do the same. Reach out to the people you don't know. Find the unfamiliar. Hold out your hand. Pull them off the ground. And I guarantee you, all of us, together as humanity, will rise up.